Hello, everyone. You're welcome to your favorite and darling program, The Voice of Eve. Today, we have the privilege of looking at a vexing problem, a rape. Why is it still persisting? Please don't go away. I'll soon be back. Rape, a bestial form of violence against women, still persists, even in a worse manner. But it should not be taken in isolation. It belongs to a terrible cluster of depravity crimes, trafficking, domestic violence, you just name it, sexual immorality. The problem is, not only does it cause psychological trauma and destruction to the victim, it portrays the society as primitive, animalistic, and disordered. What is anybody doing about it? What about the laws? How far the implementation? Is there anything we can do better today to contain the problem of escalating incidents of rape? Please join me. I am Dr. Violet Arena. Welcome back. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is the Voice of Eve. Today, we have the privilege of looking into a very vexing problem, a rape. Why the persistent episodes of rape? We must look into the matter, and we are privileged to have in the studio with us today some group of lawyers, and I have one by me now. A charming lady, Mrs. Flora Ngo-Martins, barrister at law, herself a woman, and a researcher on the subject. Flora, this is a very vexing problem. We hear that about 1/3 of women everywhere, wherever they are gathered, could have undergone a form of violence or the other, one or the other. And rape is no exception. As a lawyer and a woman, and a young one for that matter, out there, what's your take on the incidence of rape in our society and the world today?
Thank you very much. Now, I would start by saying that rape is one of the oldest crimes in the history of man. And rape in our laws, in the Nigerian laws, according to the Criminal Code, has been defined in Section 357 as a forceful intercourse with another woman, that's without her consent. If a man has intercourse without the woman's consent, it amounts to rape. And even if he has her consent, and the consent is obtained by fraud or fraudulent representation, or by force or threat of force, or fear of harm, it also amounts to rape. Now, the key element in rape is that there must be a penetration. Now, the penetration of the male's organ to the female organ must occur. Now, the issue of rape in Nigeria, it happens almost on a daily basis, but it is not usually reported because of the stigma that is attached to it. And this has made this particular crime foster and grow into a monster that we cannot relate or associate ourselves with. So this is the problem we have right now, because people do not report this case.
What do you know anybody is doing about rape today, as a lawyer and as a female, an endangered species for this subject?
The reason why we have these issues in Nigeria, why it's been going on for such a very long time, is because most times the law enforcement officers do not do what they ought to do, and the laws are not very sufficient to help the rape victims, have successful convictions. Now, I'm not trying to say that we've not been having successful convictions, because going by the law reports we have in the country, there are lots of successful convictions of rape. But then there are a lot more unreported rape cases. And this is because of the insufficiency of the law enforcement agencies, the institutions we have in the country. For instance, in the judicial system, we have this open trial for rape victims. Yes. And it's causes a lot of stigma, and in fact, most women do not even have the courage to stand in front of 2 or 3 persons to recount what has happened to them.
Yes.
How much more of a crowd, a whole lot of people that they don't know, and when they are reporting these things or when they are being cross-examined, you hear people in the gallery laughing in the courtroom. Those people that I say they are in the gallery because they are just there maybe as parties to other
entertainment,
cases.
yes.
And it's a form of entertainment
Yes.
to them to laugh that, oh, her cloth was torn, or they were asking her if she can describe the size of the man's private part. I mean, these are cases that are, these are questions that are necessary by the defense counsel,
Yes.
just to ascertain that the victim is not lying,
Yes.
and the crime was truly committed, because it must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. But these things, for instance, have weakened the system of people coming to report.
Yes, they are restraining factors.
Yes.
What is the causative factor for the, almost the high frequency of rape in our society?
One of the causes of rape is, for instance, the indecent dressing. When a woman exposes her body parts, some men get turned on, and it brings out the bestiality in them.
Okay.
That is one. Then number 2, because this is a culture that has been cultivated for a very long time, that men are meant to dominate women. So some men see it as a form of power to rape women.
Thank you. I think I was expecting you to say that. But do you think that men generally really frown at rape? Does it resonate with disgust or anything with most men, from your own observation?
Most men that are prone to violence like rape.
Yes.
But men that are not prone to violence, peace-loving men, do not like rape. It's disgusting. So, and when they know that they can do these things and get away with it without any form of repercussion or consequences from any area or sector of the society, what do you expect? They go on committing this crime. That is those men that love violence. But the men that are peace-loving do not encourage rape. They do not like it. They frown upon it because they have mothers, they have wives,
they have daughters.
and they have daughters. So they wouldn't want such evil to be perpetrated on their children.
Very good. I like that. But the general impression is that men are not generally very sympathetic, with stories of rape, because it doesn't. And a man is a man. Have you heard that statement?
Yes.
A man must be a man.
Yes.
Yes. Does it justify rape?
Yes. It doesn't justify rape, and that is why rape fosters in our society, because this society do not have empathy towards women. When a woman comes to a man to say, "I have been raped," the man first of all asks, "Where were you? What were you doing there? What were you wearing? What were you putting on? You seduced him. How come you were in that place? You've gotten what you wanted."
Yes.
So this has made many victims to shy away from reporting incidents of rape. They just take it because they don't want that stigma. And for instance, if a woman has been raped and she reports to her spouse or her husband or her boyfriend or whoever that have been raped, it destroys the relationship, because they don't want to be associated with a woman that has been taken advantage of in that manner, So this is what happens in the society. It's the reality we have in the society right now.
The reality is there are many, if you like, promotive forces. I think there's also a general sort of a loss of soul, morality, the essence of morality, by perpetrators. And let's face it, it's not normal, especially in the case I want to check out with you, when a man rapes a child. What do you say about that?
That's very hideous.
It's
hideous, and it shows. In fact, those people who go, sometimes they are pedophiles, because they go after.
They're worse than pedophiles. They are monstrous.
Yes, but they go after very little children and take
still
advantage
rape.
of them
Yes.
and rape them. In such situations, I even believe that the law, but although we are all advocating that death penalty should be eradicated, but I believe that those people, life imprisonment is just a tip of the iceberg of what they should get as punishment for those crimes. Because for someone to descend so low to rape a child, then it means the person has emotional, mental, psychological problems.
Yes.
It is not normal.
It's not normal.
It is not.
It goes against humanity in every dimension. Do you think that because of the heinous nature of the subject we are talking about, that there should be a separate court for trying rape cases, whether they are child rapists or whatever?
I believe there should be a separate institution first to cater for the needs of victims or alleged victims of rape.
Very good.
Then we should also establish a special judicial, like you said, a special court, yes, but a special institution first that would promote and ensure that the perpetrators are convicted, that would see trial to the end. Because
Thank
at
you.
times...
I like that, seeing the trial to the end.
Yes.
Because most of the trials are not seen to the end.
Because sometimes the victims either back out due to that pressure, due to the negative societal attitude towards them, due to the judgmental look they get from people around. So they just back out of it. And sometimes, because sometimes when rape is being committed, there are witnesses. There are people there who witness these things. So the victim also needs those witnesses, although they can be subpoenaed and all. But what if these witnesses go missing? Or what if this victim that was raped by a powerful man is being threatened? The life of the victim is being threatened. The victim won't come to testify in court. If the victim does not come, the matter does not go on because she is a key witness to this whole heinous crime. Now, if we have a special institution that takes care of these victims as soon as they report to the police station, they will see them through to the hospital where medical examination will be carried out. They will ensure that all the evidence in the area that this act took place has been collected and gathered for the trial. They will ensure that when the perpetrator has been arrested, he is not granted bail. A policeman or a police station cannot grant a perpetrator of rape bail. They will ensure that he's taken to the magistrate court, and when he gets to the magistrate court, they will ensure that the magistrate detains this person upon the presentation of certain evidence to show that truly this person might be, because in our law, you are assumed innocent until proven guilty. So might be guilty or might actually committed this offense. So they will ensure this person has been detained until they go to the High Court for the main trial. Now, we should have, even if we don't have a special court, because perhaps because of the financial implications of that, we should have close hearings. Now we do ban cameramen from listening in on rape cases, on trials, but what about other parties that come in for their own cases, maybe on contract, on armed robbery or murder? They sit in there and they listen to this lady recount the horrors she has passed through. So we need close trials.
Close trials.
Where we have the victim, the witness, the police officer, the police prosecutor, the lawyer, and the judge. These are the people we need. Just a close trial. The family of the victim need not even be in that trial. Just the victim. The victim and then the officers of the judicial system.
So, what advice would you give to our society as a lawyer?
I advise that, first of all, I'll start with the government. We should establish an institution whereby we protect the victims of rape or the alleged victims of rape. Because sometimes some people lie about it, being raped. So we protect the alleged victims of rape. And then we need to create an awareness in the society that this is a very, very bad habit that should not be cultivated, it should not be encouraged. In fact, it should be squashed. That is the advice. And then the third advice I have to young people out there is to avoid pornography, to avoid indecent dressing, to live respectably, because this would also curtail that menace called rape in the society.
Very good. We didn't have time to sensitize pornography because I think it hardens the rapists, you know, and everybody should protect themselves and not do what they should not do so as not to be exposed to potential rapists. And our society should be more, they should fight more, do more, be really authoritatively against rape. Enough is enough. I mean, we have enough problems. You know, we don't want to go higher on the scale of, you know, the world of nations, the nations of the world that are known for rape. We don't want to end that score. Thank you for your wonderful contribution.
Thank you,
and it's just a sensitization, as you know, because today somebody is raped, tomorrow somebody is raped, and God help us.
Amen.
I say thank you.
Thank you too.
You can see this is a very heavy subject and a vexing one, And from what you have heard, there's really no solution until we get there. Join us as we continue the discussion.